Durward Swanson.
And where are you from, Durward?
I'm originally from Blount County, Georgia. That's in middle Georgia.
And tell us about your growing up in Georgia.
Well, I grew up on the farm, and I chopped cotton, I picked cotton, I pulled corn, I pulled fodder and tied it up, picked velvet beans, and I used to have to get up every morning after I got about 8 or 9 years old and milk 3 cows every morning, come back to the house and clean up, put my school clothes on, walk a mile and a half to catch the school bus, and Mama fixed me a couple of sausage biscuits, a piece of pound cake, maybe a jelly biscuit, and I carried it in a half-a-gallon syrup bucket. And that was my lunch at school.
Wow. And where did you go to school? What was the name of your school?
I went to several different schools. I started out in Chipley at grade school, and then Daddy had a job in Florida, and we transferred. I went to school in Florida, and from there I went to school in Tennessee, West Virginia, and I ended up graduating from high school in Dublin, Virginia in 1939.
And then in 1939, you went into the military.
As soon as I finished high school, I was at a prom party one night, and I wanted to take my school sweetheart home. She wouldn't let me, so I got mad at her and joined her. Went up the next morning, they had a sign out at the post office there that said, "Sign up now for the new base, Hickam Field, Honolulu, Hawaii." I went down there and they asked me how old I was, and I told them, said, "You have to get somebody to sign for you." So I asked Daddy. Daddy said, no, I want you to go to college. I said, "I ain't going to college." So I went to Mama. Mama said, "Durward, why don't you go into college?" I said, "I want to go in the service." I said, "You have to sign it." If you don't sign it, I'm going to sign your name. I said, "I'm going in." And she signed it for me, and I never will forget what she told me. She said, "I do things, y'all make me do things I don't want to do." So I went in the Army Air Corps August the 3rd, 1939. Landed in Hawaii October the 16th, 1939.
And what was life like back in 1939 when you arrived in Hawaii?
Well, the servicemen wasn't thought too much of in Hawaii. The first class they passed me and my buddy Albert J. Lloyd got, we went down to Honolulu, and you had signs on most all the cafes on Hotel Street. Coffee, 5 cents a jar. Servicemen, 25 cents. But they come around and fought it, and then they come to realize that we was protecting them and all of that, so that they were very nice to us after then.
And then, tell me, what was your job in the military?
Well, when I first went in the military, they had me on KP one night and guard duty one night, and I seen the bulletin on the bulletin board says, "Anybody that wants to go to AM school, sign here." So I signed there, and I went to AM school 6 weeks and come out, and I was working on the flight line, and I went to Honolulu one morning and coming back. As I come in the gate there, there was a car behind me, and he kept honking and pointing, so I pulled over on my motorcycle. Me and Lloyd bought it together. It's a 74 Harley Davidson overhead. And he's come up to the motorcycle, he says, "My name is Sergeant Kramer." He said, "I'm the commander of the guard here at Hickam." And he said, "I'm fixing to start the air police here." He said, "I see you ride a motorcycle." And he said, "We'll be on motorcycles." He said, "Would you like to head it up?" I said, "I don't know." He said, "I'll give you a buck sergeant rating." Buck sergeant only paid $54 a month. I said, "Mr. Kramer?" He said, "Sergeant." I said, "Sergeant Kramer?" I said, "I'd be a fool to take it." I said, "I'm making 72 now at the 2nd AM. He said, "Well, 72 is a staff sergeant pay." He said, "I'll guarantee you within 6 months I'll have you a staff sergeant." So I took it. And my job was head of security through the air police at Hickam. We had 6 guys with me. We rode in pairs. and me and Harry Albright rode together, Hilburn Burris and Tracy Warner rode together, James B. McCallum and Milton Bogle rode together. So me and Harry had just come off of duty the night of morning of December the 7th. Back then we worked 12 off 12, worked 12 off 24. So I had just come out of the mess hall and went up and took my shirt off and laid down across my bunk. I didn't have but 3 more weeks to do over, and I was coming back home, taking me a 30-day furlough, then getting my school sweetheart if she wasn't married, bring her back and marry, and I was going to do my 30 years right over in Honolulu, Hawaii there. But anyhow, that was all ended that morning, December the 7th. Harry Albright come running through the barracks and said, Sarge, get up, the Japs are bombing us, the Japs are bombing. I rolled, my window bed was right between 2 windows. And I rolled over and I seen this plane bang, I seen the rising sun, that's all it took. So I got up, put my shirt on, put my shoes on, went downstairs, buckled my 45 on, jumped on a motorcycle. Sergeant Kramer suspected maybe we might have something like this, but they were still Japanese talking peace in Washington. But he said, if anything happens, Swanson, all of your men and all the guard will meet at the main gate, then we'll secure the perimeter around Hickam Field from that, and that's what we done.
And what was your feeling inside? I mean, was your heart racing? Were you scared?
Yes, it was. It was racing very hard. And I said, what the cat's hair's going? I said, I went through a lot of fire, strafing and all like that to get to the main gate. And I didn't know whether I was going to make it or not. And when I got down there, I said, where's Lloyd? And Burr says, last I seen him, he was standing out in the ball field there with a BAR, Browning automatic rifle, shooting his Jap and gussing him. I said, gonna get killed. So I jumped on my motorcycle, went back up to get him, and as I was going up Hanger Avenue, here come a Zero strafing right down. So I saw me. But I was close to a parking lot, so I just laid it down, dove right under the car there. I thought it was a good idea at the time, but later on I got to thinking, I said, if that plane hadn't went on by, I wouldn't have been here today. If he just kept shot and hit a gas tank, I wouldn't have been here. But anyhow, I was there, and he went on by, and I got Lloyd and we went back to the gate.
Wow. So, after the events of December 7th, what was your path to war?
You mean what did I do then?
Yeah, where did they send you, or what?
Oh, I was coming down Hanger Avenue, and Captain Tood, he was used to be a second lieutenant when he come there, and he'd catch officers of the day quite often. Every time he'd catch it, he'd say, "Where's Sergeant Swanson? I want him to go check the guards with me." So we became pretty good friends, and I was right. He'd been promoted to captain and had a B-17 Aegis, and I was riding down there one day. He just motioned, "You come over here." So I went over there. He says, "I know you got a second AM license." Says, "How would you like to be my crew chief? I need one." I said, "Well, I've been thinking about coming back online, Captain." He said, "Now you got to go to school for 6 weeks." So I took my AM school at Hickam. I thought I'd go to Hickam. I said, fine. Nah, they sent me back to one of the toughest AM schools there was in the States, Chanute, Illinois. I finished that with high honors, come back, and we would take patrol flight then. The Army Air Corps would take it, it was the Army Air Force, and they changed the name of it. We'd take it 1 week, and the Navy would take it next week. 1 week when we take it, we'd fly out 1,000, cross 100, and back 1,000.
What kind of plane were you on?
B-17E, Flying Fortress.
Okay.
And coming back in one day, my panel was right behind the co-pilot. I had the same panel that the co-pilot and the pilot had. I seen this red light come on. I knew what was happening. Captain 2 said, "Well, I've got to go back out." Says, my landing gear won't come down the lock, and says, I'll have to drop. We always flew with a full bomb load. So he said, I'll have to go out and drop the bomb, and then I'll try to bed it in and save all our lives. I said, Captain, you don't have to do that. He says, why don't I? I said, because there's a crank down in the bomb bay area. I can go down, there's a little catwalk. I can go down there, crank it down, push the crank up, and it locks the landing gear. He says, too dangerous, Sergeant. I said, you trust me to be your crew chief? He said, yes. I said, trust me to do this. He did. I done it. We landed safely with the bombs and all. About 2-3 weeks later, I heard the bullhorn come off. Said, Sergeant Swanson, report to the flight line. I told me, what have I done now? So anyhow, we went out there and I seen Major General Clarence L. Tinker. He was Commander General of the 7th Air Force. I saluted him, he returned my salute. I walked up to him, he shook my hand. He says, we need more men like you in the Army Air Force. And he pinned the Distinguished Flying Cross on me. Then it wasn't about, I guess maybe, well, the Midway battle started June the 3rd in 1942. Major Swinney left with 7 his and 6 more B-17s going to Midway. June the 4th, Captain Brooks Kelly left with 6 more besides him, which made 14. Then we left on the 5th of June with Captain Riding as the lead pilot, and we was in that group. So on the way to Midway, let me put this in there. We hadn't been off the ground about 20 minutes. And Captain Two says, Sarge, y'all gonna be quiet all the way? I said, no, sir, give us just a few minutes. So I got on the radio, and all of them had air for them on. I said, let's start and sing the Air Force song. So we did. Off we go into the wild blue yonder, flying high into the sun, zooming to meet our gray-haired wonders, Adam boys, give her the gun. We live in fame, go down in flame, nothing can stop the Army Air Forces. And we sang that all the way until the navigator spotted a heavy cruiser off to the left. He says, Captain, there's a Japanese heavy cruiser off to the left. Can we get it? And he said, no, we got to go on. They had 2 refueling places at Midway. Sand Island was the smallest, and I'll think that in a minute. That's where the heavy bombers landed and everything, and refueled. So we pulled in and refueled and taxied on off, and Major Sweet said, Joe, my captain's name was Joseph L2. He said, Joe, where are you going? He says, Major said, we spotted a heavy cruiser, Japanese. We're going back to see if we can find it. He says, good hunting, Joe, go ahead. So we spotted it, and our bombardier, Lieutenant Macy, I've heard him say many times, we had the Norton bomb site, which is the most devastating bomb site. All planes in Europe and Pacific both had that Norton bomb site on the bomber. He said, I can bust a barrel at 20,000 feet. We was flying around 17,000, 18,000 feet then, and he got 2 direct hits with 500-pound demo. We seen the heavy cruiser go down. Well, then we headed back in toward Midway, see what else we could find, and Zeros are all over us. My tail gunner spot heard, said, Sarge, I'm hit. That's the last thing I heard of him. Blood was dripping on me from the top turret gun. He was gone. My waist gunner, right waist gunner, left waist gunner was gone. And all of a sudden I had a pain in my leg and arm. I don't know what hit me, whether it was shrapnel or a bullet or what it was. But anyhow, Captain Two last Macy says, Lieutenant, how many bombs you got left? He said, 2 500 demolition. He said, I see another heavy cruiser ahead of us. He said, I'm going to drop it down to about 7,000 feet. He says, as we go of it, turn both of them loose. So we did. He bedded us in. And of course, we all wore our May West. That's the thing you float in the water with. And they pulled me out, and pulled me out. I went down. And we thought all the rest of them had perished. But we found out later the spot heard the tail broke loose when he bedded it in, and the PT boat picked him up. He went on to fly more missions in the war. So the PT boat picked us up, took us back to the Isle, that's where we refueled at. Evergreen Isle, that's what it was. And then they flew us back to Hickam, and I heard Captain Lane and Nurse Monica say, well, looks like we got another amputee coming up. So they sent me on down to Tripoli. I heard Major Major Vasco and Captain Swartz say, well, we get it ready, we will have to amputate his leg. Buddy, I'll let in on him. And Colonel Spittler come in and said, Sarge, widen down, we ain't gonna cut your leg off, we're gonna save it for you. So they did. And they sent me back to, I was back to 5 hospitals. They operated 3 more times on my leg and arm. And then I finally ended up in Memphis, Tennessee at Kennedy General. They turned me back to duty there because of the plate I had in my leg. They wouldn't let me go back to Warrior. So I played with them a while like that, and I took a discharge.
And they awarded you the Purple Heart.
They awarded me the Purple Heart at the hospital there. Colonel Farthing come down and pinned it on me and give me all the letters and everything that went with it.
So, with Memorial Day just this past weekend, and you lost some good friends in the war.
Oh yeah, I see my best buddy get cut half in two.
So, what does Memorial Day mean to you?
It means a lot to, most of what it means to me is the men that didn't make it back, that gave their lives. They loved this country as much as I did, that they was willing. I was willing to give my life, and I almost did. But if I had to do it over again, I'd do the same thing I did before.
And you've returned to Hawaii to visit your friend's grave many times.
Yeah, right. Now, every time I go, I'm going back this December the 7th. Now, every time I go, I got 2 buddies killed there. One of the guys, George Smith, they didn't find him for several days. He was covered up with some wood over it. He had 21 bullet holes in it. Well, and I'll take a rose every time I go. And of course, we put flags on the grave. But I take a rose, put on each one of them graves every time I go.
And what is your age now?
With 12 more days, I'll hit the 95 mark. Let me tell you this right quick. I talk to my son, baby boy, just about every day. And the other night he said, Daddy, says, you know, a few more days you're going to be 95. You coming out for your birthday? I said, yes. I said, well, you know the 28th of September you're going to be 60? He says, I ain't talking about that. I said, I know y'all don't never talk about it.
And to finish up, being 95 and a Pearl Harbor survivor, what does it feel like to be a World War II veteran in this generation?
Well, I have the opportunity and the memory to go to different schools and to talk to the children coming along now and tell them what we went through and tell them how great this country is and things like that, and it feels good. It does. It makes me think after I got out of the service, I'd accomplished something in my life.
Yep, you really did. Well, Durward, we are so proud of you and so honored that you are a Blount County veteran, and we just appreciate you sitting down for this interview today.
Thank you.